The words that people say, I think, often have a negative impact, and the other person doesn't really know it. Sometimes we're just so used to saying a phrase or have said it in so many other occasions, or feel so comfortable with the person that we don't think about the words we're saying.
I married a wonderful, amazing, loving black man. And so my children include one inherited child who is black and two biological children who are obviously mixed race. I love these little people, and when they were quite small, they were very active, like many young children are, and I used to call them my little monkeys. But once, while we were down in Mississippi, rural Mississippi, visiting my mother-in-law, who is a very strong and intentional with her words woman who had spent most of her life in a very segregated southern part of the U.S., approached me and let me know that the term monkey for people of color was a highly derogatory phrase. I had no idea. I felt really ashamed, but mostly it really broke my heart. I didn't discount for a minute her concern of the terminology, even though I had not experienced that as a derogatory term, and my husband had not felt that it was a derogatory term. I made a very conscious decision that just having my eyes opened to that possibility of the impact of my words, we agreed that we would never call our children little monkeys.
Often at Macalester, we can make the assumption that people don't make hurt or say hurtful statements here, that things that contain bias or any form of harassment don't happen. And nothing could be further from the truth. Those things happen here. They happen everywhere. And just because we have a community of folks that is more progressive doesn't mean that people make mistakes. It doesn't mean that we're not all learning about the words we use and the impact they have.
If there's any perception of a derogatory nature or of some sort of stereotype, the impact of this on our ability to behave as a family or as a community can really be affected, and I think we all need to keep our minds open to the possibility that our language is not as inclusive as it could be or should be when our intents are to be inclusive and to be respectful of differences and of the historical nature of terms in some instances.
Often at Macalester, I think folks make the assumption that because we're a progressive community, they can make statements, they can say jokes, they can take words and use them in a way that in other settings are going to clearly be understood to have hurtful impact, but have a pass because we're a progressive place. And people will get that we didn't really mean it that way. That's a problem, and that creates harm, it creates hurt, and it does a lot to destroy and tug at the fabric of our community. I think we have to be careful not to put ourselves in an either-or type of scenario. Oftentimes when I have this conversation with people, it tends to be framed in the context of either we can say what we want or we have to be 100% politically correct all the time. And I think there's room and a powerful space for a third way, a way to really be thoughtful about what you're saying and to be willing to check yourself. And to know that we're all going to make mistakes. It's as much about giving other people grace and having the opportunity to talk with them and explain to them and to call them out, because we say things all the time that we don't mean. None of us are immune from it. We all do it. And that's what's so great about the More Than Words Project. It brings us to our attention. It gives us a chance as a community to be thoughtful about what we say, to reflect on the impact we have, and to choose to make a difference.
Whether or not we understand the power of our words, we still use them.
So what kind of impact do you want to make?
More Than Words. Your voice, your choice. Whether or not we understand the power of our words, we still use them. So what kind of impact do you want to make?